matchups guy per se, but does that change at all with the Blackhawks when they have like Taves and Kane together and different kind of guys up front?
Well, it's hard to say. We haven't played him yet. So last time we played him was in February. Joel changes lines quite a bit as well. So we'll just have to see how things go and how things start. I can't predict what he's going to do. I'm fairly certain the lineup he starts with won't be the lineup he finishes with. He'll move things around. So usually, especially teams that haven't really played each other that often. I mean, Western Conference, Eastern Conference, it's you'll play each other twice a year. So I don't think they get fired up to play the Tampa Bay Lightning the way they get fired up to play the St. Louis Blues in the regular season. It's different now, and we'll just have to see how this plays out tonight, and we'll get a feel for each other tonight when it starts.
John, Victor Hedman was saying yesterday, night before the games, that he doesn't really sleep at all. Yeah. How was your night, and what kind of nervous energy do you have for this game?
Actually, we've talked about that. He jumps right into video games. When no, it was good. It was the same thing I've done every night before a game. But it was, I think, I don't know, it's hard to explain because we've been going through this process for a month and a half now, and just to look at this room as each round has grown, it's been pretty cool. But it's we're also getting used to it, having everybody around here. So not that I'm human, so you get excited, nervous, whatever the energy is you have before a series. But it's when the playoffs open is when you're really, it's new, it's fresh, the playoffs are here, everybody's going, and you get as far as we are now. It's unbelievably exciting to be a part of, especially going through what we did yesterday. It was a pretty cool experience, but we're used to this now a little bit. So you've got into routines of what you're supposed to do the night before, what we do, and of course you kind of lean on the things you did the night before you won games as opposed to when you lose, but can't reveal everything what I do.
John, the fact is you guys learned, Game 5, Game 7 in New York was a winning combination, was a winning formula. Guys are talking about that same type of style hockey, playing here at home, not that open, try to entertain the crowd type hockey. Along with that, do they need to have a mentality like they had in Game 5 and Game 7 to make that happen?
It's hard to explain because we won 32 games at home, and we got a little bit maligned for being the team entering the playoffs with the worst road record. And as it turns out, the reason, if it wasn't for our road play, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I think with our team, maybe there's I don't know if we take more of a workmanlike approach to these road games. We understand 0-0 is fine with us, even if we're in the third. We'll take our chances with our group. You give us a scoring chance, and we have a good chance of putting it in the back of the net. But I think sometimes at home, we've had that, especially against the Rangers, we fell behind early. We just tried to chase the game. And do we get caught up in our atmosphere and the crowd and everything that's going on? We might. We've been a pretty, freewheeling group per se when we've been at home, and we've had a lot of success. And when you're not scoring as much as you'd like, or you're giving up as many as we were, it gets frustrating. Then we press too much, and I think we just have to. Our road game's been much more patient, and we probably, if we're gonna have success, we're gonna have to do that, or Chicago will light us up.
John, I guess following up to Joe's question, what does having 7 defensemen do in terms of the matchup abilities you're able to make at home, but also not kind of worrying about what you have on the road?
Well, there's a ton of things that go into this, and whether it be matchups, be getting some of your best players out there, more your forward group guys, penalties come into play. The other night when Coburn and was sick, and so there's so many things that it becomes much more of an issue when you lose a defenseman than when you lose a forward. But for us, we just get to move guys around a little bit more. We give you different looks. It's some of the defensemen we've played, or that's what, quote unquote, sixth or seventh defenseman. They've given us really, really good minutes, as opposed to maybe what the 12th forward would give. It's just a different look, and we're really comfortable with it. I've been comfortable with it in my coaching career, and it doesn't always work, but it's having a pretty good run here in the playoffs.
Keeping on the matchups theme, what do you do with Kane and Taves if they do play together, and is it any different pairing than you've faced already in the postseason?
Well, that's a pretty exceptional group, those two guys. But matchup-wise, it's not always what forward group you have against them. It's your D pair, and I think I look back at some of these series we've played with Brassard's line and Stepan's line. Those are two really solid lines, and we felt we had three lines that could play against them. You look at the Montreal series when Pacioretty was on the ice, we felt we had a couple lines that could play against them. Detroit, the same thing when Zetterberg and Datsuk. Every team's got really good players, so you just have to challenge yourself to be better. I mean, we're sitting here in the Stanley Cup Final, and I've taken on, as well as our team has taken on, a little bit of, sometimes we've got to be best on best, and you're not going to pull the rabbit out of your hat and say, oh, we got some magic scheme. Just be better than the next guy, and that's what you have to do. You have to challenge yourself. And Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane are two of the best players this league has seen in a long time. But we feel that Steven Stamkos, Tyler Johnson, Andrei Palat, we go down our list and think, well, maybe we're not too bad ourselves. So let's prove to everybody you can play against these guys. In saying that, they'll probably see a high dosage of Victor Hedman and Anton Strawman.
Bit of an existential question for game day, but when's the first time you won the Stanley Cup in your mind?
Oh, gosh. Those are ones you have to give me beforehand. I think my parents still have the dryer downstairs in the house where I used to shoot the puck in the dryers that open up, and I think my mom still has a dryer, 40 plus years later, and that's where it all started, was in that little basement in Prince George, Babine Street.